today on the breakdown, everybody dies. That's just a fact. You know, like that's just the way it is. Like eventually everyone dies and everything dies. Nothing lives forever. That's one of the first things you learn as a child. Everything dies, right? I remember that in school. Hey, you may be wondering why I'm saying that. And the answer is because we have a hand from the 5th day of the World Series of Poker main event. That's the main event, by the way, where $10 million was for first place. You may recall. It just happened recently. And Lococo, what's Alejandro Lococo, in fact? He was a former WSOP main event final tableist. He is involved in a hand that he later described as the best hand of his life, which is why I say everything dies and everyone dies, because he too will die one day. Sorry. And this hand is crazy. It's big. It's brawny. It's got a lot to say. You know, it's got a point of view, is what I'm saying. And it's kind of amazing the amount of chips that go in based on the hands that these two players have. And Henry Sue is also an accomplished player, not Henry Sue. It's a different player. Henry Liu. His name is Henry Liu. He's an accomplished player as well. He's got millions in Hendon. 2 million, but millions all the same. And he is not the type of guy who's going to back down. He is what Grant Dennison likes to call an unsafe player. We are going to dive into this smoothie right now, baby, on the breakdown with Grant Dennison and Jonathan Levy.
Yeah, dive into the smoothie. Why not? I think there's a high likelihood that you've done almost that exact opening before. It seems likely.
Everyone dies thing?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. I'm pretty sure it's happened.
Okay, I may have said you're gonna die or everyone dies, but I probably didn't do a whole thing of that's what we were taught when we were children and blah, blah, blah. I never did that before.
No, you added, there's like little wrinkles to it, but
yeah.
It's, you know.
Okay. So
it's like a procedural cop show. It's like, oh, the killer was the husband again. Yeah, sweet.
You know, I just found out actually that the most dangerous person a woman meets in her entire life is indeed her husband.
Of course. And it depends on where
it's like, absolutely, I'm married. Of course I know that.
No, I mean, you can easily see how a statistician could create the stat to show that, right?
Like, you make it sound like they're going out of their way to do it instead of like just it's true.
Well, yeah, in a way they are. If you want to think about it for a second, instead of just be a fucking mouthpiece for whatever you're a mouthpiece for. The husband is the most likely to kill the wife of anybody that they meet. That does not mean that the husband is the most dangerous person that they meet. That's a different thing.
Well, the stat that I just said was that they're the most dangerous, not that they're the most likely to kill them.
So do you believe that?
How does that feel?
Think about it for a second. So the husband is necessarily...
Statistically, they're the most dangerous person that you'll ever meet. From an EV point of view, think about it.
I think you're misusing dangerous. Because danger...
I'm just repeating what the guy said.
Then that thing is wrong. I obviously agree that if a woman is murdered, it's most like the most common murderer is the husband.
Yeah.
I've seen that stat. I know that's true. That doesn't mean that the husband is more dangerous than a guy on the subway who's having a complete mental breakdown and swinging a knife around. And a lot of people have met a guy like that.
That is not... But we're not talking about that. We're talking about the person who is most likely to cause harm to this person. I guess this.
You said the most dangerous,
right?
Yeah,
that's what. Is that not the meaning of danger? You took it to death and murder. I'm saying it's not that. The person just EV wise most likely to cause harm to you if you are a woman is the man you marry.
Yeah, overall.
Is that not danger? I don't understand.
But it's because of exposure. Obviously, it's because of the amount of time exposed to that person.
And probably, the casserole wasn't.
But I'm saying, like, okay, put the husband who, having never met the wife, like in an alternate universe, on the train,
right,
where the wife is, and that same guy who's like, I don't know.
We're talking about the same thing. We're just being semantical about it, right? Let's not waste any more time. We basically agree.
This is what we do.
We basically agree.
This is our brand. Double down. You have to. Everybody obviously agrees with me. Another thing, I wonder if you really just alerted, like, of the audience.
Yeah.
Is there anybody who was just alerted to death and that they actually are for sure going to die? Is there anybody in the audience who was like, I kind of think maybe not? Maybe
I'm sure
5% of people don't die?
And
maybe
now they think after this they're like, oh, never
the
mind,
poker guys said that I die.
I'm gonna die.
Yeah.
Hey, do you remember when you first realized you were gonna die?
No, I don't actually.
Oh, I remember very well. Like clearly when I realized I was gonna die. I was probably 4 years old, and I would stay with this family every day where my mom would go to work. She'd like daycare, but it was just me.
Yeah.
I was the only kid there. And I was just sort of standing in their living room, and it just like I just got it. Like it just like occurred to me, and I just started weeping and crying. I was inconsolable for the whole day because I realized I was gonna die.
Yeah. For some reason I have no recollection of that. I guess it was like a slow burn or something.
Yeah. Maybe you just don't care about
Maybe.
death.
Maybe I'm
That's
that.
okay.
I'm like that nonchalant. I'm that cool. I'm Brad Pitt on a phone in a movie. I'm that cool. You know exactly what I mean.
I mean, sure.
Yeah.
Sure.
Like who makes a cooler phone call than Brad Pitt?
By the way, you're like, it's not just Brad Pitt on a phone, which is already like, wow, it's in a movie, which is now it's going to be stylized with
Yeah.
good lighting. So,
Yeah.
yeah, I'm right there with you.
Yeah. He's eating, of course.
I mean, this has to be a short, what we just did. That's a short right there. I don't care if it doesn't have to do with poker. That's a short.
Yeah, it might be. It might be. Speaking of short, let's keep the opening short. Let's get to this hand because
Okay.
it's pretty wacky. It's a big tournament. It's the World Series of Poker, $10,000 buy-in main event. Everybody cares about it.
Yeah.
You know, it's political at this point. It's a big deal.
JC
You know.
Tran really values his tournament life. We know that.
we know that he does, and there's some value in that.
Sure.
You know, maybe he's not. Maybe he was doing something right. Who knows? It's been a long time since then. Maybe we revisit that. No, we're not going to do that. Let's talk about Lococo.
Okay.
Who, you know, since bursting onto the scene with that main event deep run, I guess he had done some other stuff in poker before that, but he was like a professional rapper.
That's right.
You know, and I think he's taking poker a bit more seriously now, right? Like that's my vibe, my understanding.
I have no idea if he is. I know he was a professional rapper. I assume he still is. He does at least a little rapping, as a side hustle at a minimum.
Yeah.
Just like for birthday parties and stuff,
Birthday party rapper.
Yeah. Call me in.
Call me in what?
Hey, it's your birthday. Everybody knows. Stuff like that.
Huh. Well, my daughter's birthday is coming up in about 3 months. So I know that you have moved to Puerto Rico, but do you have availability? I'm just asking. I'm just asking like
for rapping at someone's birthday party. Yeah, it's $12 an hour. I'm in.
$12 an hour?
Plus expenses, obviously. But
do you get to eat some of the food?
Well, either I do or I bill you out like food expenses. It's one or the other. So
We can
decide.
do $9 an hour without the food.
Done.
Okay, good.
You idiots. Here's the rap I'm gonna do. By the way.
Oh, you're gonna just give it all away right now? Now I can just hire somebody else to say the words.
Good luck. Good luck.
Yeah.
Well, once you hear it, you're gonna be like, I can't.
Okay.
It's just another thing. It's, hey, it's your birthday. Everybody knows your mom and your pop bought you a pair of clothes. It's gonna be like that.
A pair of clothes?
Yeah, 2 of clothes.
I wonder who's better, you or Lococo. I haven't heard him. So
I mean, a lot of people would make guesses and assessments based on that one rap, but I just keep in mind I didn't practice that. I didn't think about it.
Yeah.
Lococo probably thinks about his raps.
Yeah.
Not everyone can be. Is that guy Harry McKay or whatever his name is? The guy who's like the world's greatest freestyle rapper.
I don't know.
Oh, he's incredible. He just does like chat roulette, and people come up and he raps about whatever's happening and with the people on their thing, and he's really funny and really good at it. I'm surprised this hasn't come across your desk, Grant.
Yeah, my desk has been a little busy recently.
His name probably isn't Harry McKay, but it's fine.
You don't know names.
Everyone knows who I mean.
Of
It's
course,
the guy.
Except for me. All right, let's get to it. It's
Okay.
day 5 of the main event. We're in the money, but it's not an ICM spot.
No, not at all.
We're far away from the real money jumps.
I think we're right around like the $45,000 payday, and of course, first place is $10 million. So
right.
yeah,
and the World Series has flattened the payouts from last year when first place in a smaller field was 12 million. So there will be more money jumps earlier, but it's still like not going to be a huge consideration.
it should not be a consideration almost ever until we're way, way, way deeper.
All right, so it's 15K, 30K.
Okay.
Lococo has 2.3 million. He's cruising. He's just like, I just always do well in the main event. I'm killing it.
I did it one other time. I'm doing pretty well now. I'm cruising. Always crush it.
I might be remembering incorrectly, but my memory of it is that he had his final table 2 years ago, and then last year he also had a deep run, is my understanding.
There's no way it was 2 years ago.
Really?
It was way before that.
Really?
Yeah.
Way before it? Like how
I
far
mean,
before?
what? I don't know. 5 years, 6 years. I
You're
don't know.
claiming pre-COVID?
Yeah, I'm saying pre-COVID.
Oh, this
Pre-COVID.
is a bet. You want
It's
to go
not
for
a bet. We're not doing bets here
why?
because I don't have
You
a good
said it so
memory. I
confidently.
don't have a good memory compared to you when it comes to this stuff. I acknowledge this,
Then
but
why
I
did
think
you
I'm
say
right
it so confidently?
because I thought you were going to be like, "Oh, okay."
Okay. So if you were to bet, you would want the post-COVID side. Then.
No, no, not at all.
So do you want to bet?
No.
I'm confused.
I think I'm right, but I'm not confident.
Okay.
We're moving on.
All right. Well, it's just pride on the line.
Just admit I'm right.
You were not. You were wrong.
I'm going to look it up at some point. And
I'll give you 3-1.
I mean, that's cool. Can we not do it live? Can we do the hand? We'll get back
Oh
to this.
yeah. Okay, we do the hand like the guy who just rapped about pants or whatever.
Hey, it's your birthday. Everybody knows your mom and your dad, your mom and your pops bought you some other clothes, some brand new clothes. Yeah, I'm working it. I'm workshopping it right now.
Yeah. You'll be getting a call from Will Smith pretty soon. All right. So Lococo has 2.3 million. He's doing well again for the third year in the row in the main event.
If it's the third year in a row, it's pretty good.
He's got ace-3 of spades. He opens to 60K under the gun. Totally fine. A player who's not going to matter too much in the hand, Trujilo,
Right.
has no Hendon, 1.9 million in the small blind, queen jack off, calls. That's a bad play. We don't care. He should fold, right, when the under the gun opens.
I think you should probably fold. Yeah, I would fold. It's not a great hand. We're out of position. Blah blah blah. We are getting at least a good price and it's cheap, but no, I would fold.
Henry Lou's in the big blind. He's got 1.4 million. He's going to be the effective stack with just under 50 bigs. He's the guy with 2 million in Hendon, so he's like a legit guy.
Yeah.
Serious threat. He's got ace-4 off, ace of clubs, 4 of diamonds. Calls, closing the action. That seems fine to me.
It does. I mean, it's problematic, of course, calling with when the under the gun opens with this kind of a hand where we're just dominated all the time and we're never really know where we're at unless we have a big, big, big hand. But it's so cheap we can see a flop. And sometimes we get very lucky, right?
It's a trust yourself spot, right? It's like a trust yourself post flop spot because it's 30K to win 180K.
Right. We just have to call because
I trust myself. You know, the ace of clubs alone can be a powerful card in some capacity at some point.
And also, a lot of these hands go, we flop top pair, we check under the gun bets, we call, and it just goes checks all the way down essentially, or we checks turn, and we're like, okay, it's fine, and then whatever, we bet river, we check river, we decide based on the board and the player and all that. But it's not a big deal, and it's a small pot, right?
Yeah.
Like, mostly it's small pots, and then there's the occasional big pot, which we don't really want to play with this hand unless we have a good reason to.
Yeah, like reverse implied odds are something you should definitely be aware of, but it really comes down to how much you trust yourself post flop.
Yeah.
To like read people and understand situations and all of those things that are important. 210K in the pot. The flop is jack of diamonds, 3 of hearts, deuce of spades.
Nice call by Trujillo.
Yeah, Trujillo flops top pair and way the best of it with queen jack. Lococo flops middle pair with ace-3 of spades. He's also got the backdoor steel wheel draw with that deuce of spades
I
out
love
there.
that.
And a wheel draw for Lou with his ace-4 off on the jack-3 deuce rainbow.
Yeah.
Trujillo checks. I'm gonna ask it even though I know the answer, I think. Is there an argument for leading from Trujillo's spot?
I don't think so. I mean, I know we have top pair and all that. I think this is going to get bet so often by the under the gun player on this board. Like, I just don't have much concern about it at all.
Even with 2 callers, both being the blinds, it's still a dry enough board that you should expect like a small bet from Lococo almost always.
Yeah.
Right? Because a small bet here just prints money, especially in a tournament.
Right. If he's got king queen, if he's got ace jack, if he's got 2 9s, if he has ace king, he's probably betting all of those, right?
Yep. So Trujillo checks. Lou checks. I guess Lou, maybe with a little bit less going on, has a slightly better argument to lead just because he doesn't necessarily want Lococo to see bet. He'd prefer the hand to just end right now, and if he gets called, he does have equity against everything pretty much.
Yeah.
So it's not good equity, but it's something.
I mean,
if he wants to start telling a story.
That's fair. But by not c betting, and we assume Lococo is going to bet even from this position, right? Just like we did from the small blind, nothing's changed, right?
Yeah, of course.
We do get a lot of cool information, right? Because basically we get to see what Trujillo does.
Yeah, that's the cool information.
Which is nice. And if Trujillo calls, we may have a different response than if he folds, than if he raises. Obviously, if he raises, we have a very clear response. But the other two things, we might get squirrely or not.
Yeah, we might get squirrely.
Squirreliness
might occur. Let's just preface the rest of this flop with the understanding that there might be some squirreliness, maybe even a badger or two, or some other sort of. What do you think's an upgrade from a squirrel as far as squirreliness?
Rat.
No, rattiness is different than squirreliness. It's like a different category.
You're right. Mouse. Mouse.
That's obviously wrong. A mouse is a downgrade from a squirrel as far as squirreliness.
Mousiness?
I think it might be like marmotiness.
That's a dumb thing to say.
You've never even seen a marmot.
You know I respect you, but that was dumb.
You've never even seen a marmot, have you?
I've seen like drawings of marmots.
I have seen marmots, and I have encountered marmots. I've had to deal with marmots chewing on the wires of rental cars.
Have you killed a marmot?
No.
Tell the truth.
No.
No?
I have not. I've been around people who have killed marmots.
Oh.
I've been around marmot killers.
Have you aided them?
No.
Did you point out where a marmot was and you knew they were probably going to kill him?
I understood their reasons, though. I'll say that.
Did you support them quietly?
Yes, I did. I did support them quietly because the marmot was chewing the brake lines in their car. So
so you wouldn't kill a marmot who was doing that?
No, I would, but I just didn't have to because I didn't get in that situation.
How would you kill the marmot?
Probably with gum.
With gum?
Yeah.
What do you mean?
The same way that if I were to kill you, it would be with gum.
But talk a little more about that.
Oh, I thought you understood that. I thought you got that.
I can think of a few ways.
You'll learn.
I can think of a few ways, but they're all really awful.
You'll learn someday.
Are you chewing the gum first and then like plugging up all air holes with it?
I can't believe you don't know. It's amazing. Anyway, marmotiness is definitely upgraded squirreliness. I'm going with it. I'm sticking with that.
Yeah.
Anyway, back to poker.
Yeah.
So Lococo does c-bet. He is middle pair with the backdoor, not flush draw. Bets 40K into 210. Feels perfectly good for this flop, the Jack 3 deuce rainbow.
Yeah, we're going to get a lot of folds, and if we don't, it's okay. We spent 40K.
The board is probably dry enough that Trujilo shouldn't really consider raising too frequently just to knock out lose equity, right?
No way. I definitely not. I'm like, we're going to get a lot of folds anyway. We're not trying to play a big pot with this hand right now, right? Like, let's just call. It's like one and a third blind to call. I think we should definitely call. The big blind's going to fold, and then we get to play. We get to figure out what we want to do on the turn. By the way, because if he sizes up on the turn, we're going to start to have real decisions. But it's not an inflection point yet. I think raising. If there were more players in the hand, we could consider raising maybe. But I think just the big blind. I just expect they're going to fold a lot and call a lot, and both are fine. We're usually ahead.
All right. Now let's get to the marmot.
Here we go. Marmot time.
This is Henry Lou's new nickname. The Marmot.
Marmot Duke. Like the dog? Marmot
the Marmot.
Duke.
Oh.
You know?
Oh, I think you've been reading it wrong. Or maybe this is a Berenstein Bears thing. Anyway, Lou raises to 145K.
That's the guy who's got ace 4, not the guy who's got top pair, right?
No, it's Jack 3 deuce rainbow. He's got ace 4. He's got no backdoor flush draw.
Yeah. He has the gut shot. He
like
blocks nothing.
This more commonly is a play you see when he would have like the ace 4 of hearts, so he has the back door to go with the gut shot.
Yeah.
But he does not. And of course, I think in general in the main event, you should be more overtly aggressive in spots that might not be game theory approved because it's just going to work more frequently.
Right. People are going to fold more.
So it's probably better to like just pick more spots to do stuff like this in.
Mm-hmm.
So let's assess this Socratically. I'll be Socrates and you be
everyone else.
One of the students. What are the good things about?
Don't drink the hemlock, sir. Sorry.
Oh, that's like 40 years in the future. I'm fine. I'm young Socrates.
You can see the future.
Yeah. You didn't know Socrates could see the future? That's one of his powers.
I thought that was Nostradamus. Go on. That's the question.
So Lou making it 145 here. What are all of the good things about this?
Okay. There's some really obvious things. Number one, we just win a lot right now.
Yeah.
Like a lot. Because, first of all, Lococo, even when he has a hand like 2 queens, I don't think he's folding 2 queens, to be clear. But it's already putting him in a little bit of a weird spot because he's got another player behind him who put money in already on this flop, right? He's very likely to be ahead with the 2 queens against that player. Shouldn't be too worried about it. But we're already starting to show more strength than it was just heads up, right?
Yeah.
So I like that a lot. Another thing is when called, we do have outs, which is nice, right? We have outs to the nuts.
Mm-hmm.
That's pretty great. Well, not the nuts, but effectively the nuts. We'd feel like we had the nuts if
we're never getting called by 5-6, so it's not a big deal.
Right. So it's great. So we like that a lot as well. It's incredibly hard to put us on this hand. So if we indeed get called by a hand like 2 queens, an ace coming, I guess there's straight draws without the ace, aren't there? Like 4-5 is there. So maybe that's a bad example. Like an ace would be scary to a hand like 2 queens anyway. Never mind. I was wondering if we could get value with an ace if an ace came, but probably not because that would be a straightening card. What else is good besides those things? Well, this board is not really anybody's board. It's probably more the under the gun player's board, but it could be our board too. Since we were in the big blind and we were just called, like, we have all the suited jack X's, including the two pairs, right?
I was thinking that like we have the most raisable hands on this board of anybody here,
Right.
Like Lococo has a set of jacks, and we don't that often, although we do sometimes.
Pretty
but
rarely. But we can have it.
obviously have sets of deuces and threes at the same frequency as
sure.
Lococo, and we have jack deuce and jack three suited, which he doesn't have.
Yeah, we've got the power advantage.
Yeah.
I think is what the kids.
We
like
also
to
have
call
three
it.
deuce suited, probably.
Yeah, I think we do.
Yeah.
For one blind, I think we do.
Yeah.
We don't love it, but we call and they're like, "Hey, we did it. We're
Yeah.
great." Then we raise right now and either take it down or get action from ace jack and overpairs and whatever else.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think there's lots of good things about this. I think you're probably doing it too frequently from a GTO perspective if you're doing it without the backdoor flush draw also.
Mm-hmm.
But still, in the main event, it probably is still a money printing move here.
Yeah. In the main event specifically, this is just going to work all the time.
Maybe
all
not,
the time.
Maybe Lococo is the wrong target, though.
Well, it probably is going to turn out to be because he did say, as I mentioned, this is the best hand of my life that I ever played. But even a hand like if Lococo had like Queen Jack here or King Jack, I don't know for sure that he's even calling this raise in the main event. Like, people play super tight to raises in the main event, right? They may just, I could see myself being in the spot and be like, you know what, why put any more? I barely put any chips in this pot. Why am I going to play this big pot against a guy who can absolutely have two pair, etc.? I've got another guy behind me. I don't know. Like, I might just fold, until I have reason to think that guy is wild, and then of course I'm not going to fold, But if this guy has a good image at all, I might just fold it now just to save myself the trouble. Probably not. I probably feel like I have to call once to see what happens on the turn. But I can see myself just being like, you know what? It's not worth it. Who cares? As long as it doesn't happen to me much, like, I'll just wait for the next hand and play that one.
Yeah. I mean, I think if Lococo has a jack that is the jack of clubs, that's the best bluff catching hand. Then he blocks all the suited jacks. So I think he will continue with all of his jack X of clubs because he's a studied player and he would probably do that. He might do it with any jack just to block other jacks because who knows, maybe Henry Lou is calling from the big blind with jack 3 and jack deuce unsuited for this price. I'm not sure.
Maybe.
But jack 3 and deuce of clubs are the only available suited jacks there. So the jack of clubs is like the best bluff catching hand if he doesn't have like a super monster hand. So I think that's probably a better hand to call with than overpairs if you're Lococo in this spot.
Right.
Still, he might be calling with all of these things just because it's possible that Henry Lou's a bit of a wild man.
It's also possible that Henry Lou, if he has, if we have an overpair, like Henry Lou could be raising a jack here because we've got 40K and the small blind called, and the guy may be like, I don't want to play his three-handed out of position with top pair when I often have the best hand. Like, now,
It obviously puts you in some sticky spots with the jack.
no
if you do
question,
that,
no question. But some people will do that. Like, I remember playing day 3 of the main event, and a guy who has won World Poker Tour events was at our table, and he absolutely was raising top pair all the time.
I mean, there's
constantly.
spots for it, I think.
No, he was doing it way too much, and it was not good.
Okay.
It was clearly bad. But in my mind, like, I feel like me and Jesse Sylvia and other people were definitely taking advantage of it. It was very clear what he was at all the time. Like, he was doing the, like, find out where I'm at raise. And so, it's like, and then he bet the turn, and you could, like, I mean, I check raised the river once when I was clearly losing and, got him to fold because he found out where he was at, kind of thing, But anyway, so, like, I'm saying people will do this in the main event, though, like raise top pair. Yeah. Even, like, accomplished players. This guy had millions in Hendon. But he was, it was old school. He was an old school dude.
It's not something you expect.
Correct.
And it's unlikely that Henry Lou is doing that.
Right. I agree.
So, like, mostly what he's raising for value is 2 pair plus, right? He's going to have that. Yeah. He's going to have
the sets,
some straight draws, and then he shouldn't really have any random air. I guess maybe if he really wants to get wacky, he could have stuff like 9-10 of diamonds, where he has the 2 back doors.
He could. I mean, it's really cheap to call with a bunch of this stuff. By the way, including the hand he has, super cheap just to close the action, see if we spike the 5 and try and, get jiggy with it.
Yeah. I mean, I think there's a lot of value in the main event in just scooping up these medium-sized pots, though, over time. Accumulation is a big deal.
Yeah, that's really fair.
So I think, I like Lou's raise in a vacuum. I think if you're doing this in a cash game or in a tournament where people don't value their tournament life as much, it's probably a mistake to not have the backdoor nut flush draw with it.
Yeah.
But I always endorse this raise at these stack depths if you have the backdoor nut flush draw with it, though, in this spot. I think it's always fine. Anyway, he does make it 145. Again, Jack 3 deuce rainbow board. Lou's got ace 4 off. Queen Jack for Trujilo, who's about to become the garbage human. And Lococo has ace 3 of spades for middle pair with the backdoor nut flush draw. and he raises
Yeah.
to 340,000.
How about that?
He's the real marmot. That's the real marmot right there.
It's marmot time, people. Marmot o'clock.
All right. So, what are some reasons that Lococo might do this?
Okay. Well, that 3 blocks a lot of stuff,
Yeah.
right? It blocks Jack 3, it blocks 3 deuce, it blocks 3-3. That's actually pretty great.
Yep.
Because while there can be Jack there, Jack is going to 3-bet a reasonable percentage of the time, even though we opened under the gun, right?
Yeah.
It is definitely going to do that. So we can discount some of the top sets, and we block now, so we can discount some of the middle sets, and we can also discount Jack 3 suited, Jack 3 off if somehow it's there, 3 deuce suited, and even 3 deuce off. We block almost all the stuff we want to block with just that 3. It's pretty beautiful.
Yeah.
That's the best reason I have. Yeah, we don't block. Oh, we also don't block any of the backdoor flush draws because we have clubs in our hands. So
we have
if
spades.
indeed we have spades in our so we do
back,
block up.
yeah.
Oh, why do I think we have clubs in our hand?
I
We
don't
were
know.
talking about the jack of clubs earlier. And it got in my head. It was all sticky. Fucking marmot.
Yeah.
So is that okay to call you a fucking marmot, or is that?
It's
Am I
probably-
offending some group at this point?
It's probably bad. I'm guessing it's bad. There's like a group in Central Europe who is currently very upset at you. I don't know who they are, but they don't like being called marmots. That's for sure.
But are they like on your side of the? Because are they like you, where they're effectively like, if I can kill a marmot, I will with my frickin' hands, or are they more like me? You know, I love animals, and that's why I will.
Are you
What?
actually asking me to say what an entire race of people thinks about marmots?
Race? It's a race of
You
people.
are a racist.
It's
sir.
a race of people that have a strong opinion about marmots now.
No,
And
it's.
no one knew.
I
No
thought
one
we were
else
on-
knew you were talking about a race
I
of
thought
people.
we were on the
Grant.
same page here, where you were saying, is it possible that marmot is a derogatory term for an ethnic group or something like that?
Whoa!
Yeah,
What?
yeah, that's what I heard.
I really was never saying that.
Oh, okay. Well, I thought you were more sophisticated than you are.
Jeez,
Anyway, Lococo makes it 340,000.
I have a joke I'm not saying right now.
That's great. Don't
I'm really holding back.
don't do it. Good job.
Thanks.
Keep it together.
Ask me after we finish recording.
I
okay.
choose not to.
Moving
Lococo
on.
raises to 340,000.
Okay.
Okay, so all the blocker stuff is right. I'm assuming there's also some history with Henry Lou.
I mean, you have to believe Henry Lou. You must have seen Henry Lou be very razy a lot
Yeah.
in a lot of spots, right? He's got to have a bad image, at least to you, for you to even consider this play, right? Because against a lot of guys, all those blockers are meaningless. It's the main event they just raised. They're going to have it some ridiculously high percentage of the time.
Yeah.
You're never going to get them to fold, and you're just throwing chips away.
Well, the proof is in the pudding that Henry Lou is not one of these guys.
Exactly.
Lococo doesn't see the pudding yet, but maybe he's seen some other pudding. You know, some
He's-
tapioca.
Yeah.
Um,
Ooh,
Yeah.
underrated tapioca pudding.
Yeah. So I think this is an interesting thing to do against a player like Lou potentially is, where Lococo's giving himself a pretty good price to just pick up this hand without having to sweat anything else. Like he didn't go very big, but most of the time Lou's just going to give up now, right? With hands like Ace 4 and whatever random shit he's got.
I mean, almost everything that
Yeah.
is anything that it wasn't pure value, I think he's throwing away in theory. Now, maybe not in practice because this is a breakdown hand, but you would think all bluffs run away right now, pretty much, right? There's no flush draw here, so there's no combo draw available. 4-5, I guess, is the most obvious bluffing hand. And, you know, it probably should just fold now. I guess it could call, but it's out of position. We're going to know when the cards come if a 6 or an ace hits, right? It's going to be really obvious to us. It's going to know that too, because Henry Lou has been around the block. I think we would think we're successfully folding out all those bluffs most of the time, if not all the time.
You would think incorrectly.
Yeah, I know. That's why I said most of the time first. But really, I would think all the time.
Trujilo, of course, folds.
Of course.
He's out of there.
He had the best hand.
Now we reached the actual king of the marmots. Is Henry Lou. It was a whole trick that we did to make you think that Lococo was the marmot king, but it's Lou, because Lou moves all in
I mean,
for 1.435 million chips.
what is happening right now? Why is he doing this?
That is a great question. I think my guess is that this is just a leveling war, and they're both astute players who have noticed each other doing out of line shit the
Yeah.
whole day. And like Lococo has seen Lou be way too razy in spots like this, and Lou has seen Lococo and noticed that he notices when players are doing stuff like that and always pounces on weakness.
Yeah, Lococo's willing to fight back
Yeah.
against this kind of stuff, and he knows that. So he's like, all right, fight back against
Let's
this
take it. Let's
sucker.
take it to the next degree, buddy. Let's see
Yeah.
what happens.
Yeah. I mean, that's the only possible answer I have either, except, I mean, he'd have to otherwise think that Lococo is, I guess he's probably thinking also that Lococo, let's say Lococo has queens.
Yeah.
Lococo would never 3-bet queens here, right? Like he would call with queens.
You would think it's possible that Lococo is like in certain leveling wars with certain players where he does 3-bet queens in order to call it off, you would think, most of the time.
Well, if you 3-bet queens, you should strongly consider calling it off.
Yeah. I mean, it is over $1 million more, so I don't know.
It's still a lot.
worth
for sure.
consideration.
It's short. But we'd have to, maybe we also believe as
Lou?
Thank you. As Henry Lou, that Lococo is going to slow play some of his really big hands like Jack at this point, especially because we've got the crazy image. It'd be weird for him to put in another raise right now and just take it down when the board is not particularly scary. It isn't like there's 2 hearts out there as well. And like there's a million things to dodge. There's almost nothing to dodge, right? Maybe an ace, maybe a 6 if you have 3 jacks. That's it. And you'd be worried that you're going to lose all those bluffs. Like I just said, we assume 4-5 is going to fold, right? If we put in this raise. And if we have Jack, we block. The only thing we were hoping for if we put in another raise right now with Jack is to get action from 3-3 and deuce. We can probably get all that same action on the turn from those hands because there's almost no card that's going to come where we couldn't get it in on the turn. Where we couldn't put in a big raise on the turn and get action at least, right?
I mean, I think the Occam's razor here is that Lococo does actually expand his value range in these spots against players like Henry Lou. I think that's quite possible. And so it's not just Jack, it's not just sets.
Well, I'm saying he may not even be raising those sets against a guy like Henry Lou. So as your Lou, you're like, his strongest hands are not going to raise against the crazy guy when he's in position, and there's nothing really to be afraid of until the turn comes. Why would he do that? That's insane. No one does that. So I'm going to fire back because he doesn't have sets now very often. I mean, of course he has a little bit of them probably, but he's probably unbalanced that way and would be really interested in calling with those hands and letting me fire away on the turn and then maybe raising then. Maybe, right? That makes a lot of sense to me, actually. And guess who doesn't have Jack deuce or Jack 3 suited?
Yeah.
Lococo, right? So now Lococo is basically down to 1 pair and a tiny bit of sets, and that's it.
So ultimately what you're saying is you think Lou might think that Lococo either has like a very sad crying call with an overpair or no calls.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And by the way, if he calls with an overpair, it's not great, but we actually have, not terrible equity. We got aces as well, I guess, except ace jack. Ace jack is the one problem here.
Yeah.
But against like queens and kings anyway.
You have aces and 5s.
Right.
That's
not nothing. If we think we get this fold enough of the time, we add that equity. We have the aces and 5 equity to it, and we're probably making money here by moving in. But we have to be right about the fact that Lococo is doing this with more marginal hands, more marginal value hands than the super, super strong ones that he's mostly going to keep in the case for the turn or the river.
Well, guess what? Henry Lou looks like a genius right now. Because Lococo has ace 3.
I mean, it's like, wow, did you nail this? This hand is over.
Or is Lococo even better at leveling than Henry Lou? Maybe they're equally good at leveling, but it doesn't matter because Lococo has the best hand. And Lococo finds a call.
Because he is the god of the marmots. He is beyond the mortal realm, the corporeal form. Yeah. He is past that.
It's like this is the type of thing I don't think I've ever played a hand quite like this, but I have been in spots where I'm playing with the same player all day, and I'm like, something like this is going to happen, and I have to be ready for it. Like I have to have a plan. I have to be willing to die in a spot like this to fully like realize my equity against this type of player, or else they're just going to run me over. I just can't let it happen.
Right.
Right. So I don't know if there's any reasoning with specifically ace 3 of spades that Lococo thinks this is a good hand to call with versus other hands that he might show up with that are very marginal. Like, is he doing it only because he has the backdoor nut flush draw just in case also? Or is it just like, I'm just taking pretty much any hand of any value and trying to destroy Henry Lou and trying to end his tournament right now? Like, is that what's happening?
It's really hard to come up with a great answer, for me anyway, because, like, Henry Lou still, we block stuff with that 3, but we don't block all the stuff. And also, even when you block stuff, they can still have it, and he was in the big blind. Yeah. I guess Henry Lou knows this, and that's part of why he's doing all this too, right? He's like, guess who can have Jack deuce? Only me, right? And maybe you don't even have deuce deuce and 3-3 there, Lococo, from under the gun. I don't know if you have it or not, but I always have it, So it's interesting that Lococo is confident enough. Now maybe there's a live read going on here too, but that he's confident enough to actually make the call for what is effectively his terminal, not his terminal life.
No, he's still got $1 million left.
Okay.
Or 900, 800.
Okay, so that's true. But he's putting in like a big chunk of change here when he absolutely doesn't have to. When he was bluffing on the turn, wasn't he? I mean, bluffing's maybe the wrong word, but he was leveling back without a strong hand.
I mean, what it looks like to me is that these guys were both prepared for this type of leveling war, and they both had each other effectively figured out.
Yeah.
You know, and Lococo just got the last laugh on this one based on hand strength alone.
What a nightmare to be called here. The guy has a 3, but he has ace-3. I mean, I guess he's going to have 4-3 or ace-3. Those are the only threes, and mostly ace-3. But it still sucks that your ace is not an out here, and you only have 5s. I guess you have 4s and 5s.
Yeah, you have 4s and 5s.
So I guess it's the same thing.
Which is kind of important because the turn's a queen and the river's a 4.
Yeah.
So Henry Lou doubles up with the river 4, and that one probably hurt a little bit for Lococo. After, no matter what any spectator thinks of it, Lococo was there. He was in it.
Yeah.
At each point, he knows he made what he thought was the best decision, and it turned out he was right. And then he just gets stabbed in the heart with the 4 on the river. You know, that must hurt.
Being willing to die in the main event is sort of a superpower a little bit, you know? Obviously, you have to be judicious with that. Otherwise, you will die, and quickly. But you can really see this guy who has had numerous success in the main event over the last 7 or 8 years. I think we can all agree.
10 or 20 years.
Yeah.
He got second to Huck Seed, right? Like, is that what it was?
So whatever it was, though, he doesn't just call off constantly when people make big plays. He's clearly picking his customer very, very carefully and the situation very carefully to do this. How long does he tank, do we know, before? I think he takes quite a while, right? I mean, he should tank for a while on this one, even if he's calling. 100% he should tank. But I'm thinking of like way, way, way in the day, like 2006, 2007 WSOP, where Dimitri Nobles, if you remember him, was like the massive chip leader after day 2, I think. But basically, he just never folded no matter what. And there's a hand on like day 3 or day 4 where he has top pair and nothing else, and the board, he has like a jack, and the board is like 8, 9, 10 jack, like deuce. And the other guy goes all in with just pocket aces, no idea why. Dimitri Nobles insta-calls with just the jack and gets stacked. You know, and it's like, what in the hell? I remember at the time, like, how can this be? Are these guys really good or not? Because it seems crazy to me, you know. I think it was crazy.
Probably.
But he's the kind of, but like Lococo isn't that. He's not Dimitri Nobles, just always calling the big bet no matter what. This is very thought out, and because he's right, it looks kind of brilliant. Now, if he was wrong, we would be like, "What are you doing, man?" You know, it'd be. We could sort of break it down a little bit, but we'd also say like, I mean, maybe Henry Lou is a little unlucky that he doesn't have a value hand here, because I wonder if he would play his value like Jack Deuce suited the same way. Would he move in with Jack Deuce suited?
For his sake,
That's
I
the
hope
question.
so. For his sake, like not necessarily against everybody, but against Lococo. If this leveling war is in place, you know, I hope so.
Yeah, me too. I don't know if he would or not, because he might be worried about losing queens and kings and things like that. And so maybe this goes back to Lococo's reasoning of like, what value are you really moving in with here, bud? Yeah, you know, and that's, by the way, what we think Lou's reasoning might have been after the 3-bet, right? Like, what value are you really? Wouldn't you just call and like let me fire away? I'm crazy. Remember,
these guys are really both playing with fire. They're both doing the invert the F-16 above the MiG thing like the whole time. The whole time.
It's good.
Thanks.
It's a Top Gun reference. Yeah. Nice. Yeah. Nice.
The good Top Gun. The good one.
Top Gun Maverick.
Shut up.
Oh my God, I did it.
End of podcast.
I did it.
Hey, first time, no rehearsal. I say fuck the second take. 90s baby scratching on vinyls until the record break. Mr. One Night is all I need. No second dates. I'm the rapper most likely to make you tight.